Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily. It is still unknown what form and strategy the Polish opposition will take for the autumn election. The Polish People's Party have made a preliminary announcement that they will form a coalition. Some of its members reacted by calling for a split. The Democratic Left Alliance is indicating that if the main opposition party, Civic Platform, does not make a proposal by Wednesday, they will form an election bloc themselves.
Why does Mr. Schetyna, the leader of the Civic Platform Party, want to be the Prime Minister of the next government if he isn't even able to form a list of election candidates for the opposition? That's the question politicians of the ruling Law and Justice Party are asking. The split in the opposition is good for the ruling party. There is some moaning and groaning within the opposition in reaction to the Polish People's Party preliminary announcement of forming an election bloc by themselves, and how this kind of move plays into the hands of Jarosław Kaczyński's ruling party. The leader of the Polish People's Party gave an ultimatum last Friday that if the Civic Platform fails to form a centrist opposition bloc, they will do it themselves. Some politicians are adamant about the necessity of the Civic Platform and Polish People's Party forming a coalition, stating that only this duo is able to challenge the ruling Law and Justice Party.
I think there is no point discussing the details since talks between the parties are in full swing and any outcome is possible. The talks are between the leaders and I do not think it should be happening in front of the cameras. Please be patient. We will have the final decision made by Wednesday. By the end of this week, everything should be clear.
Budujemy koalicję polską.
We are building the Polish coalition and we are inviting all groups who want to be within the Christian Democratic Alliance. This is an open project and everyone who believes in Christian democratic values or wants to support our program is welcome.
Każdy, kto chce poprzeć także nasz program, jest mile widziany.
Wszystko na to wskazuje, że PSL pójdzie odrębnie.
All signs point to the Polish People's Party running by themselves with some other supporting groups and single politicians who hold similar views to theirs at the moment. I think that Civic Platform is going to go with a modern party and Mrs. Barbara Nowacka will go separately. The possible participation of the Democratic Left Alliance is still unknown. If the Democratic Left Alliance doesn't join, then we can expect a third bloc of purely leftists to be formed for the coming elections.
Sądzę, że należy się liczyć, że powstanie trzeci blok, taki stricte lewicowy.
A zniecierpliwieni są też politycy SLD, jak mówią, dość już...
Members of the Democratic Left Alliance are also getting impatient. Some say that they are sick and tired of sitting in Grzegorz Schetyna's waiting room. Today, the leader of the Democratic Left Alliance, Włodzimierz Czarzasty, gave Schetyna an ultimatum. If the new coalition proposal is not formed by the Civic Platform by Wednesday, they will start forming their own leftist election bloc this coming Thursday. In addition to that, he also warned that on Thursday, he will point the finger at those who are guilty of the current uncertain state of the opposition. As far as the Civic Platform is concerned, their politicians say that the final pre-election decision will be announced this Wednesday.
Ostateczne przedwyborcze decyzje.
The recently elected president of Slovakia, Zuzana Čaputová, has come to Poland on an official visit. Čaputová met with Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki and was also welcomed by Polish President Andrzej Duda, with whom she held a joint press conference.
Poland is a very important economic partner of Slovakia. We spoke about the perspectives for the tightening of those ties and mutual investments. Our relationship also covers common history and values. Poland was a great inspiration for all the countries in our region and a part of the great change that happened.
Gospodarki bardzo ważne są wspólne historii.
Rozmawialiśmy o współpracy właśnie w ramach.
We spoke about our cooperation within the Visegrad Group. We also spoke about our cooperation within the Three Seas Initiative and the development of infrastructure, both the road and railroad infrastructure. In terms of the energy infrastructure, I told President Čaputová that I'm delighted to see the construction of the gas interconnector between Poland and Slovakia be underway. I hope that it will be finished by 2021. I have to say I did encourage President Čaputová to join the cooperation under the Three Seas Initiative because I believe it is a good project for the region of Central Europe.
Pierwszego roku ona się szczęśliwie zakończy.
The streets of Paris, Lyon and Marseille became loud and violent last night as the Algerian population celebrated their country's victory over Nigeria in the semi-final of the African Cup of Nations. But the celebrations quickly turned to riots, with many stores being looted and demolished. Our French correspondent, Zbigniew Stefanik, has more on what is becoming standard practice in modern-day France.
Po The riots took place after Algeria's victory over Nigeria. Some of the Algerian hooligans committed acts of vandalism around 2 a.m. Such incidents also occurred in Lyon, where there were many material losses, and in Marseille, where some Algerians fought with the police. It's worth noting that similar riots took place several days ago on July 11th, when Algeria won against the Ivory Coast. Following these incidents, 74 people were detained and a woman was killed by an Algerian driver, while her children were badly injured. Following tonight's riots, 272 people were arrested in France in total, 245 of them for 48 hours, while 169 people were detained in Paris alone. The French authorities expect another wave of violence on Friday, when Algeria will face Senegal in the final.
More information has been released on Saturday's terror attack against Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility known as ICE in Tacoma, Washington. The attacker, 69-year-old anarchist Willem van Spronsen, was motivated by hatred against Donald Trump's increasingly tough immigration policy. He attacked the ICE facility in an attempt to further the open borders immigration policy favoured by the militant left-wing organisation Antifa, with which Spronsen had been aligned for years.
The terrorist was armed with a loaded rifle and attempted to ignite a commercial-sized propane tank attached to the ICE detention facility before being gunned down by ICE officers following a shootout. Spronsen had also used incendiary devices to set cars on fire, as well as attempting to set parts of the holding facility ablaze. The man had been arrested in 2018 following a protest at the same facility after having assaulted a police officer. The attack against ICE comes after weeks of verbal attacks against the agency by Democratic politicians, with some going as far as comparing ICE facilities with German concentration camps from the Second World War.
In more foreign news, a Brazilian pastor, Marcelo Rossi, was attacked whilst conducting a holy mass in front of 50,000 attendees in Sao Paulo.
Pastor Marcelo Rossi was attacked by an unidentified woman who, according to family, is mentally unstable. Thankfully, no serious injuries were suffered by the pastor, and he returned to conducting the mass a few minutes later.
Thank you very much for joining us here this evening at Poland Daily. I'm John Carter. Stay tuned after the break for Poland Daily Weather. It's followed by the business, culture, history, and then finally the travel.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Tonight the temperatures will reach 14 degrees in Gdańsk, Szczecin and Koszalin. The minimum temperature will be 10 degrees in the area of Lublin. Showers will appear in the northern part of Poland. Tomorrow, during the day, lots of sun in Poland and the temperatures will be from 18 degrees up to 24 in Zielona Góra. Thank you.
Poland Daily Business Edition. We will talk about European issues, but through the Polish lens. And this very one of the most important announcements last few hours is that Polish PKN Orlen, one of the biggest regional oil conglomerates, wants to join with Lotos. That's a company based in Gdańsk. Professor Zbigniew Krysiak is our guest, sir. Welcome to the show. And is that important for Europe? Will European Commission agree to that, or they shouldn't, because this will create too much competition for this French and German oil giants?
I think that European Commission should agree. It's in terms of size, you know, if you just put together Lotos and the PKN Orlen, this is not a big, you know, part of a capital on the entire European market, you know. So I wouldn't think that, you know, this is going to be something problematic for European Commission. Important, I mean, a step in that direction was for this two, I mean, companies to merge. The margin is going to be based on the capital, sharing the capital. So basically, PKN Orlen is going to get around a 70% share in the capital of Lotos. So this will be a very soft, the best, I think, approach to the merging and acquisition. And this is going to give, a much, profits. These two companies can obtain a lower cost for purchasing, crude oil, for instance. They can, in the logistic, and the distribution, decline the cost. So basically, this is going to impact the lower cost for the final customers. So, and the European Commission basically is analyzing, this problem for the perspective of the competition, but as well from the perspective, which is a most important perspective, from the perspective of the customers. And this is very important, remark that, when this, merger and acquisition was basically announced a year ago, which was, basically completed a application to the European Commission. So the prices of a stock, for instance, for PKN Orlen, basically rise up from 50 to almost 100 Polish zlotys per share. And the Lotos, the prices of a Lotos increase from around 30 to 80 Polish zlotys per share.
What are the investors expecting from that?
So this is what this information means. This information means that basically investors, that the market, that the customers, so everybody, perceive that merger between Lotos and the PKN Orlen as a positive impact on the market. Therefore, we can, observe, the increase in the share price. So this is very important factor as well for in the process of the discussion with the Commission, European Commission, because the market, many institutions, so changing the price, cost of the price per share, this is a very big information arriving from many institutions, from the customers, and it should be considered as a very important factor.
It is worth to note that the majority owner of both companies is the Polish state, and apparently it is not allowed legally to sell or privatize these two companies. There is a third company unmentioned in this deal, that's Pern, the company that provides the storage and transport for the gas and oil in Poland. And it is very interesting because to the lesser extent Lotos, but Orlen is very much expanding abroad. They have refineries in Czech Republic. They have a refinery in Lithuania, and our network of their gas stations is covering this part of Europe. Will this deal act as an encouragement to the further expansion abroad, do you think?
Yeah, Poland, need, to have to organize the model of the businesses, the model of the economy in the way that we can expand abroad. In our country in the past was organized in that way that we basically had not potential, to expand. And for each country, not only the export of the produced goods is an important factor to develop, to increase in GDP, but as well, the running businesses outside the country. So the running businesses outside the country is as well increasing the profit which is coming to the pockets of Polish people. And the example you said, PKN Orlen, yes, expanded in the Lithuania, as well, Czech, Germany, in Germany we have a strong, in the north part of Germany, the PKN Orlen, running the business under the Star name.
Right. They have to conceal their Polish roots.
yes, this is basically one of the important players in the Germany, you know, and to put together Lotus and the PKN Orlen, they will still run the businesses under the separate names, but this will give a bigger chance to expand. As you are aware, of course, the expanding today this business means as well to develop the electromobile, you know, market, you know, so these two companies can put together the funding to invest in the development of the electromobile. So it means that this business selling the petroleum based on the crude oil will be in the future a part of this all entire businesses. So this is an important factor as well to if these two companies are going out of the country, they will attract the other our businesses, the cooperators, you know, for instance, the banks as well, you know.
The Orlen has a policy of purchasing their products available in stores from the local Polish consumers. You will find not only food, but also the water, but some books and magazines that are being produced in Poland. So this is the way to go.
Yeah, this is, as you highlighted, you know, this is not a new thing we know from the economy of scale, you know. So the Orlen, in that way, going outside the country and merging with a Lotus is giving a bigger chance to scale up, you know, the businesses for, yes, in other areas.
So we will see whether the new European Commission will agree to that, and there is few actually conditions or the probability that it will be surprising.
Yeah, luckily if Ursula von der Leyen, you know, have 7 children, so probably she's on the family oriented, we hope. So it's going to be probably a good factor for us to convince her in different areas.
We've spoke many times that European rulers are childless. Mr. Macron, Mrs. Merkel, that's only a few examples. Now the mother of many children became will become president of the European Council, and that's a good sign. Yeah. Professor Zbigniew Krysiak, sir, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot
for this conversation, and that was it for tonight's Poland Daily Business.
Welcome again to Poland Daily Weather. Tomorrow, during the day, we are expecting some rain in the north as well as in Bydgoszcz, Białystok and Rzeszów. The coldest area will be around Szczecin tomorrow and the warmest around Zielona Góra, with up to 24 degrees. In Europe, on Tuesday, up to 36 degrees Celsius in Madrid, Spain. 24 degrees will be seen in London, but only 17 in Stockholm. Tomorrow will be quite sunny with the most rain in the northern parts of Europe. Thank you and good night.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm Paulina Odrostine.
And I'm John Carter.
And today we're at Immersion, a company based in Warsaw, Poland.
And we're going to show you all about the Polish role in the fascinating world of augmented reality and virtual reality.
So come and join us.
Immersion is a Polish company based in Warsaw, Poland. It implements augmented and virtual reality technology in business and entertainment using all existing platforms. They create concepts and integration strategy, deliver full developed solutions, and assist in implementation and service. Their biggest projects include collaborating with HBO, NASA, HTC, Samsung, or the American Museum of Natural History.
Okay, so Bartosz, what do we have here? It's an example of the work you did for NASA.
Yeah, so here's Robert, our main animator, and this is a big part of our projects. It's character animation, and what you can see here is Neil Armstrong, who is departing from lunar lander. And this is a project that we made for NASA and Smithsonian Institute. And we had to recreate all the movements of the astronauts that were on the moon surface.
So were you using actual original footage?
Yeah, exactly. We used actual footage. It wasn't very good because by that time the cameras weren't very good. But yeah, we tried to do it as close as possible.
And so how do you do that? Because presumably if you were trying to create that in a sort of film situation, you would put sensors on people's bodies, but obviously you can't do that with the old footage. So how would they go about recreating that movement?
Yeah, so everything here is done manually. We have an astronaut model, and Robert needs to, recreate all the movements made on bones. So he's just doing it manually. So it's a time-consuming work.
Wow. Okay. So how long approximately does it take to sort of, recreate a minute's worth of footage?
Oh, it's about weeks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much. Like
I think 3-4 weeks.
3-4 weeks for a minute.
It's quite speed.
Yeah.
How long did the whole project take?
Oh, this project we had like 3 months to do all. So yeah, it was. But in the project there are like 6 or 7 animations, short animations.
Okay.
So we've been able to do it.
And what is the total sort of duration of that experience for the viewer?
The AR experiences in this project takes around, maybe 10 minutes, something like this. But it's not only about the astronaut movement. There are other parts of the project. So the astronauts are just a part of the experience.
Was this? Did NASA request this for a particular reason?
Yes, this application is made for the 50th anniversary of moon landing, which is actually this year. It's July 16 is the date.
And how come NASA contacted Immersion?
Oh, we worked with the Smithsonian Institute before. We created an application about the panda.
The panda bear?
Yeah, the panda bear. So they created a video about the panda, and we've done it. We've done a free 160-degree application for them. We are working with museums in US, so they had our contact and they just reached us.
Excellent. Maybe we could have a look at the process behind creating the T-Rex and the bone formation.
So Robert, if you could show us the T-Rex. So as you can see, what you see on the right side is the outcome of the work that is being done in the program. So it's pretty complicated.
So how do you go about recreating the motion of the T-Rex?
So we had a lot of references from the American Museum of Natural History. We worked with Ken Stevens, who is a well-known animator of the T-Rex. So he studied all the movements, and he also showed us how the bones work. So we had to recreate it in a very complex way, I would say. So it was very time-consuming. I think this whole movement of the T-Rex, which lasts around 2 minutes in the experience, it took us a few months to do it.
Wow. And was it Immersion's concept, or was it the Natural History's concept, the idea to put the bones together to essentially recreate the skull?
Yeah, so in this case, which is not very common for us, it wasn't our idea. It was more of a concept made by the museum. In majority of our projects, the concept is ours, and it's a cooperation, of course. So we're talking with clients what would be the best way to show what they want. But in this case, we didn't have much to say in the concept. So we were just creating the app that they think of.
And was there some sort of limitation? Did they request something which was sort of beyond the technological possibilities, or?
Well, you know, it was, as I said, it was a cooperation. So we did it together. So it wasn't like that. So yeah, it's.
You could advise them as to what was and what was not possible.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course. And we were partnered with HTC Vive, who is the producer of the headset. So you know, they also know a lot of VR limitations. So it was like a joint thing.
How do you imagine that this type of process might look in 5 to 10 years' time? I know that's quite a difficult thing to say, but I'm assuming the technology would have changed again.
Well, you know, it depends on what part of the project, because I think that animation won't change that much, because it's hard to do all those processes automatically. But you know, there are many parts where the work is being done, you know, faster and faster. So you know, we're doing projects. Every project is being done faster, I would say, from the beginning of our company.
I see. And was there something sort of within this, the T-Rex animation? Was there something that was new that you hadn't come across before that had to deal with previously?
Well, I wouldn't say so. You know, the only problem was how correctly we had to recreate the movement. It was about, you know, about the angles and the bone movement, which was, as this is an educational app for the museum, it was, for them, it was the most crucial thing to be consistent with all the newest, you know, outcomes of experiments made by paleontologists. So this was the main difficulty in the project. But, you know, actually Robert was experienced in character animation for dinosaurs, so we were pretty good with this.
So his homework was go home, watch Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
and
actually,
that was his research.
Yeah. Jurassic Park was a pretty good reference,
Yeah.
but we got a lot of references from them, like more educational references that are not available for, you know, for all the people.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much, Bartosz.
Thanks.
I'm here in this hidden pearl in Warsaw. This is the Jewish cemetery on ulica Okapowa. This cemetery opened in 1806, and since then it has served the Jewish community in Warsaw. But it's more than that. It's a valuable historical resource. When so much else was destroyed, during the Second World War particularly, this place survived remarkably. We'll be meeting some of the people who are restoring it, who are keeping it going. So do join me on this exciting episode of Poland Daily History. Udi, you were born 5 years after the end of the war.
Right, six to be exact.
6 years, okay.
1951.
In Israel.
Right.
And so could you just tell us a bit about your life and how it was you then came to be reconnected, if you like, with your Polish roots?
Yeah, I think it has a huge impact about my life because, you know, my parents, both of them, left Poland after a huge tragedy. It's only when I got much older I realized that
when did your parents actually leave Poland?
They lived at 46, right after the war.
Right.
My mom went to France, where she was originally. She went to Toulouse. She worked in a Jewish orphanage. And my father actually survived by fleeing to the depths of Russia, to the Asian part of Russia. And they met in France. They made it into a ship to come to Israel. At that time, it was illegal, so it was caught near Haifa, and they were taken to Cyprus, detained for 1 year, and then allowed to come to Israel. They lived in a kibbutz for a few years. That's where my sister was born. But then when my mother was pregnant with me, she decided she doesn't want to live in a kibbutz, and they left at 50s. It was a very difficult time in Israel. This country was just born, so they lived in something that's very similar to a refugee camp.
Okay.
My father worked very hard. He made in junkyard his own truck and somehow started to make living. And but I think the war was there all the time. You cannot escape it. You know, when I would imagine when my mother hugged me the first time, she was thinking about her parents that are not here.
Yes.
So it was all about what happened here. And also when I grew a bit, she used to talk to me much about her life. Now, she was born in Geneva and then raised in Paris and moved only when she was like 12 to Warsaw. So she was telling me about Paris and how she liked it. And then she came in 36 to Warsaw. And then 39 started the war. So she told me stories not like if, you know, wow, you know, there was a war, but just about her little daily life. Much of it had to influence me on how to raise me and how to deal with difficulties. But of course, there was a much deeper level to it. And then when I got to be myself 13, 14, I didn't like these stories anymore. You know, we were the new Israelis. We wanted, we could associate with, you know, brave soldiers and fighting for our liberty and freedom. And those were the things we wanted to associate with. And working in kibbutzes, in agriculture, that was the in things to be. And later, of course, to do a career and business, etc., etc. And then only when I got 50 and after the death of my mother, all of a sudden this thing dawned on me and came back to me, and I started to research them and kind of tie the whole thing into one story. And that was my first book, a tale about life and death. And until now, I feel I'm influenced by what happened here, by Warsaw, and that's why for me coming to Warsaw, it's not just another city in the world.
No, and at one point I think a large proportion of the Jews in the world in the 20th century were in fact Polish.
Right.
And so this is not just Jews who happen to be in Poland. I mean, Poland is, and it's probably hard for non-Jews to actually appreciate that, but Poland is a fundamental part of Jewish history.
Very, very definitely so. Ben-Gurion, the first Prime Minister, Shimon Peres, and many others. And the whole movement was, I think, somehow between Russia and Poland, which I understand now that anyhow there is big influence.
Course, yes.
And mainly the social movement at the turn of the 19th century, which influenced them, and when they came to Israel, they set those commune kibbutzes, imitating more or less the communist idea, which we also shied away from it now. And also now there are different influences, but definitely during the 50s and the 60s we were very much kind of influenced by Polish culture. And one of the things that amazed me the first time I came here is there is a thing called like Jewish restaurants in Israel, which mean like old-fashioned food. And when I came here, I saw that most of it is like standard Polish. Only right. Most of the time we have different name, pirushki is kreplach, etc. And it's very similar.
But yeah, but it's interesting that even, and I imagine the experience and the tragic experience of the whole Holocaust was probably also influenced Jewish and Israeli thinking in terms of wanting to have a very strong defence of the country and fighting for the country, and sort of saying never again will we allow ourselves to be bullied in that way.
Very much so, very much so. I think, you know, the last thing you want to be naive, because Jewish people, I think, by nature are very optimistic.
Yes.
And that's why when they lived here and they saw the signs coming, they kept saying, no, it cannot be, and well, we don't believe the German can do something like that. And now we believe, and I think that's why the world have a hard time to understand us, that, you know, we don't want to be naive anymore about, you know, risking our life. But yes, I think you are right. But it also influenced not only in that respect, but in many other respects. I think there is influence of what happened about, you know, our social life, about our culture, and big influence, I think.
Yes, it is very hard to comprehend, as you say, that a nation like Germany, a nation of culture and learning, would have been capable, or some of the people within it would have been capable of sort of these acts. I find them, when I study them, it's almost too hard to understand. It's so horrific. You can't actually understand it.
I can give you a more specific story that my father used to tell me, because he was in 39, you know, it was the area where the Russian, with the agreement with Germany, Rovno was under there, and he was working for the Red Army. And he had a truck, and when the Germans invaded Russia, he came with the truck and say to his mother and to sister, "Why don't you get on the truck and let's flee from here?" And she said, "No, I know the Germans from World War I. They weren't so bad. I cannot believe that they'll do what they do." You know, a month later, they shot them into holes in the ground. So you can imagine, you know, if you take my father, you know, what level of risk was he ready to take? And yeah, I think it very much came through into our being, and definitely to me as an individual.
Yeah, so we're not going to take a risk again.
Not ready to take a risk, and we are living in a risky way. Actually, the war of '73, for us, our generation was, and I was there during that war, was the closest thing to have a Holocaust again. You know, we were attacked by a few armies.
I can remember in '73 when I was at school, and you know, reading the newspapers and thinking at the time, a lot of people were worried this could get really...
It was quite bad.
It could turn out to a really major war. And of course, looking at the Middle East generally, this is an area of the world which is still, we're seeing even now, still fraught with problems, and it's still not a particularly safe part of the world. So, you know, history...
No, I think it's, people think it's fighting over land. It's not. It's more a fighting of culture.
Exactly.
And I think you are experiencing it now in Europe as well. And if we don't overcome the culture and the religion issue, it will be very difficult to
I think you're right. I think in historical terms, and that's probably a good point to come to a conclusion, is I think you've got to, and I think your own family history shows, it's very important for anybody that if you have to protect your own culture, you have to protect those values, and you have to say, okay, we don't want to have problems with anybody, but there comes a point when we say, thus far and no further. Our culture is worth defending.
I know.
Because we have seen, or you have seen more than I have seen, you have seen, or your family have seen, rather, the dark side of when you
I can tell you from my own experience, it's very difficult for a person that feels he has values, human values, to take a gun in his hands.
Of course.
It's a huge leap into an area that is unknown to you, but then you have to think about your past and understand that the men have to do what the men have to do.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that is the case.
And that's where we, well, yes, so let's hope that we don't see any of these conflicts again. But anyway.
I'm ready to give up a lot in order for that to happen.
Exactly, but let's hope that the world is a wiser place. I sometimes wonder, but anyway, that's, again, thank you for sharing these thoughts with us. It's been remarkable and for bringing some living history into our programme. Thank you very much, Yuri. It's been super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. This next series of episodes will take you to Konstantin, just south of Warsaw. It's about 20 kilometers from the Palace of Culture in the center of Warsaw. Konstantin is famous as a spa town. It was started about 120 years ago, and people still go there on a regular basis to take the waters. We'll also stop off and have a conversation and a meal with Nick Richardson at the Park Cafe and Restaurant. This is one of the fine outdoor eating experiences you can have in the whole area of Warsaw. The Kolczynski family always makes everyone feel welcome. So enjoy the weather, and we hope you enjoy the conversation. Stay tuned for Poland Daily Travel in the beautiful garden suburb of Konstantin, outside of Warsaw. We sure do appreciate you watching. If you really like what you're seeing, why not subscribe? It only takes you just a second. It's a small moment for you, and it means a lot to us. So keep watching Poland Daily Travel. Tell your friends. And we'll see you next time. This is Will, signing off.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next exciting episode of, I always say that, of Poland Daily Travel. But it is kind of exciting. It's a beautiful day.
It's a lovely day.
Yeah, I'm here with Nicholas Richardson, my long-lost cousin, and we are in front of a mansion in Konstantin. And if you're going to come to Konstantin, you're going to see a lot of these kind of buildings, because this was once the celebrated garden suburb of Europe, actually, of the continental Europe. This was one of the famous cities. It was a lot of people in the 19th century, early 20th century came out and built houses out there. A lot of it was built with manufacturing money of the time. And we see behind us a wonderful place called the Park Cafe and Restaurant, and it's here in the park in beautiful Konstantin, which is about 21 kilometers. I want to say 21 south of the Palace of Culture. Is that right?
More or less. I think about 20.
Yeah. Have you been here before?
I've been to Konstantin. I've not actually been to this particular building.
Not to the Park Cafe. It's a nice place. Don't you like it?
I think it's lovely. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it later.
Yeah. You see, it's Casino Palace in Konstantin. It says it there.
Do they still have a casino here?
No. It'd be nice if they did. Yeah, I think you've got to have a special license. But sometimes people play pinochle.
Oh. Do they?
I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Nor do I.
I've heard that people play it. But
I assumed that you knew what it was because you were offering it as an activity.
No, I have no idea. But I think that people play pinochle here. Or probably secret games of 5-card stud or Texas Hold'em or something like that. Or what's the other one? Backgammon.
Backgammon, yes.
Yeah, backgammon. It's really hot. If you don't think the weather gets hot in Poland, boy, you are not right. Because I just had a friend who flew back
from?
I'm trying to remember. Miami. And he said it's just as hot here.
All right.
Just as hot and steamy.
So he could have saved his money and stayed here?
Yeah, why? Well, he wouldn't have had the beach.
True.
And the Vice. Because it's Miami Vice. That's what you go for.
Don Johnson.
There's a lot more Vice in Miami, apparently.
Yeah, I've never been to Miami.
That's an old show. Most people watching this have no idea what I'm talking about.
But it's a good show. It's great. At the time, it was
It's on reruns. It's on reruns. You can see it on
had very good opening credits, as I recall.
Yeah, but nowadays I think kids are used to such stuff. They wouldn't like it. No, you know?
No, they have. The modern
it would seem old-fashioned.
It would, but they're missing out, I think.
It was almost old-fashioned when they made it. It was so fashionable that it was really had a you know. But anyway, why are we talking about Miami Vice? We're talking about Warsaw Vice.
But you raised the subject of Miami. But
I'm
sure if you wanted to talk about Warsaw Vice, I'm sure you'd be able to tell the views. I'm sure
we have to do
you'd have a lot to say about it.
I would, particularly me.
Particularly you.
No, that's not right. That's not fair. At any rate, we're in Constantia, and we're going to take a walk in the beautiful park now. You got to see this park. It's really good. And we're on our way to the secret spa with its life-giving mists. Stay tuned. Poland Daily Travel. We're in beautiful Constantia on a beautiful day. It does not get better than this. Friday with the sun shining at a mansion in Constantia with a pal. Stay tuned to Poland Daily. See ya. Good Lord, it's like Savannah, Georgia here. It's hot and steamy today.
It's very hot and steamy. It's got a lot steamier in Warsaw over the last 20 years, actually.
Has it got steamier?
Yeah, it used to be very dry, but now it's getting quite humid.
Yeah, I wonder if that's really true, or is just we just think that.
Well,
yeah.
I think it actually must be true because we feel it.
You see what this is? Look at this. This is towns that are twinned.
Twinned.
With
Constantia.
Constantia, but I don't see an American one or a British one.
Do they do twinning in America?
Yeah, they do.
I've never really worked out what twinning gives you, apart from the local councillors. An excuse to go and fly to see each other.
I guess it's just, yeah, they go and fly and see each other, but it's a kind of a, isn't it a Chamber of Commerce type thing? Yeah. I don't know, you're in the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, but I don't think we're twinned with anybody. We're not twinned with any other chambers of commerce.
Warsaw's not twinned with anyone?
I don't know.
Here, anyway, there's a German one and Lithuanian one.
Check.
That's Haranci. You ever been there?
No.
It's a long way away. It's almost, it was 450 kilometers. It's a long way. Due south, actually. I don't know this place. Do you know this place in Italy? I don't know. Saint-Germain-en-Laye?
Yeah.
That place I've heard of.
Me too.
Yeah. Anyway, this is, so we're making our way now. Do you know where we're going?
No, you're leading us to the mysterious spring.
The mysterious spring. We're going to Mysterious Spring, which is very, it's very misty.
And are these the springs which people came here to originally?
Yes.
Which set up this sort of little spa town?
Right, yeah. They would come here, and we can go there. We can sit there, and the misty mist.
Will we feel a lot
The misty mist.
Will it cure us of all our ills?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be cooler. It'll be cooler on a hot day than it is right now.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think it'll cure us, though, of our misdemeanors or our small defects. I always thought that people, when you go to a spa town, we were recently in Czechoslovakia, but I've been in lots of spa towns, Karlovy Vary, some ones in Germany and whatever. It always seems to me that the people in the spa towns look sicker, not healthier.
Well, I suppose they tend to attract sicker people, don't they?
I guess.
It's like, you know, there's a lot of death in hospitals.
Yeah, that's, oh yeah.
For the
and
same,
a lot of broken limbs,
yeah,
right?
for the same sort of reason.
You don't see healthy people in a hospital,
well,
right?
Exactly,
yeah.
No, you don't.
I mean, this is the point, yeah, but if the waters were, if the waters were, here's a little fella there, he's on his bike.
Yeah.
If the waters were really good for you and gave you the secret, you know, of eternal youth or something like that.
You'd never be able to get a place there because the rich
you wouldn't get a place, would you?
Would have stopped you getting there.
You wouldn't get a place. I mean, the last time I was getting water in Czechoslovakia, you know, I went back because we went.
Did you drink it?
Yeah, I drank a bit of it. I think it's
or
still
do you drink it
at
or
the
bathe
station.
in it? I'm never quite sure what you're supposed to do with spa water.
No, you're supposed to drink it. I mean, sometimes you bathe in the water, but usually they drink it, don't they? I think so.
I think they do. They certainly did in Bath in England.
Yes, right.
And I think in Buxton
that's a famous
as well.
One.
In
Buxton, that's a famous one. I know about Buxton.
Yeah, Buxton's a very nice part of England. Actually.
It's pretty, yeah. But people would go, but there was some saline content or something. I'm not a scientist. I don't know exactly what makes the water good, but minerals make it good for you, right?
And you're probably in a more agreeable climate. I mean, this is certainly even today much fresher air than we'd have in the centre of Warsaw, for example. So we're bound to feel slightly better.
I mean, we're surrounded by
trees.
Parks, by a park with trees and flowers and birds chirping.
Birds chirping.
Of course, I live in a park in Warsaw.
Do you?
I mean, under a bench.
Yeah. I thought it was you. I recognised the hat.
Yeah. Sometimes I pitch a tent.
Yeah. It was the hat that gave it away, actually. I thought that hat looked. So I was walking through the park the other night. I thought that hat looks familiar.
Yeah. I tell you, this business doesn't pay the way it used to. But anyway,
you didn't say that again.
Yeah, it is beautiful here, and being in the park this time of year makes it a lot nicer. I guess that's what I want to say. Because every morning I wake up, look out my window, and all the trees are full of leaves, the birds are chirping.
There's not yet, certainly
and it's really nice.
Nature has a very healing
and
effect.
Jolly Bush, yeah. Yes, it has a healing effect, and you feel you're not waking up a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And
nice.
you know, the car exhaust. And I lived in one place in the city there where there was, you know, it was very loud with the cars going by.
Well, the rattle of the tram tracks is another
The
one.
rattle of the tram was further away, but you could hear it, but not that far away. And but not on my street. But just the noise and the gasoline smells, you know, even on a small street, you know, especially in the summer, right?
Yeah,
With
well,
the windows
yes, in
open.
the summer, because it's very hot, the air's very still, it can get quite depressing.
Yeah, but when you come out here to Constantian, you're in a place that's really kind of a getaway.
Yeah.
It's close to Warsaw, but it's a getaway. And if you really head down to the river this way, to the east, it's very pretty and underpopulated. There's a little village called Obori. You know it? Have you been there?
I haven't.
No, it's very nice.
I want to cycle there one day.
Yeah, it's a really good cycle. I've done that over there. Yeah. At any rate, stay tuned to Poland Daily. The next thing we're going to do is, let's go and talk to this fella. Who do you think that is? We're going to eventually get to this spring. So stay tuned to the next exciting episode of Poland Daily Travel. We're already feeling relaxed, you see? Feeling very relaxed, almost somnolent a little bit, you know?
Yes.
Peaceful anyway.
Peaceful,
Not somnolent, I'm not sleepy. You sleepy?
No, no. Well, actually...
You're a little bit sleepy, aren't you? You're up like...
You've talked me into it.
You're a night owl. I got you up at you had to get up at 6 o'clock this morning.
I did. Well, I had somewhere to go before I came to join you, see.
Who is that? Is that Stefan Jaromski?
Looks like.
Stay tuned to the next exciting episode of Poland Daily. We're going to go over here and sit next to Stefan Jaromski, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He's a very, very interesting guy.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. See you later with Will and Nick. Bye. Oh, thanks for watching.